That, ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in history when a nation rises, not just because of its size, not merely because of its wealth, but because destiny itself chooses it to lead. Today, I invite you to step into a story, the untold secrets behind how India became so powerful. This is not a tale of chance. This is a declaration of willpower, resilience, and an unshakable faith that is the force driving a nation forward when the world turns its back, when obstacles seem larger than life. It is the kind of belief that does not bend in storms, does not falter in darkness, and does not surrender even when failure feels inevitable. India's journey to power was never paved with ease. It was filled with setbacks, doubts, and trials that could have broken its spirit. But what set India apart was the deep conviction carried by its people, a belief that tomorrow could always be brighter than today. Even in times when hunger overshadowed hope, when oppression tried to silence voices, and when challenges towered like mountains, there remained an inner voice within the nation whispering that struggle was temporary, but greatness was permanent. This faith did not depend on circumstances. It lived beyond conditions. It was the faith of farmers who toiled in the fields, believing that their sweat would one day feed generations. It was the faith of freedom fighters who risked their lives because they trusted that the chains of slavery would one day break. It was the faith of scientists who, with limited resources, still dared to dream of space exploration and achieve it against all odds. It was the faith of ordinary citizens who held on to the idea that progress was not a dream too far away, but a reality waiting to be claimed. That faith became the invisible shield that protected the nation from despair, and the invisible bridge that carried it from weakness to strength. It was not blind faith, but purposeful faith rooted in action, discipline, and determination. Every invention, every achievement, every victory India has celebrated came because millions believed in possibilities when logic said it could not be done. This kind of faith is not simply religious or spiritual, though it holds that dimension as well. It is faith in the human spirit, in destiny, in the ability to rise above. A nation can build weapons, skyscrapers, or economies, but without faith, it cannot build courage or resilience. India's power was never just about numbers or resources. It was about this deep collective belief carried by generations. And when 1 billion people share a vision with unshakable faith, mountains move, empires fall, and history changes its course. Knowledge and innovation have always been at the center of India's strength, shaping its destiny and defining its rise as a powerful nation. From ancient times, when India was known as the land of sages, mathematicians, and philosophers, knowledge has been the light that guided its path. It was in India that the concept of zero was discovered. Astronomy was studied with depth, and great centers of learning like Nalanda and Takshashila welcomed scholars from around the world. Knowledge was never seen merely as information, but as wisdom that could transform societies and generations. This tradition of valuing learning created a culture where ideas were celebrated, curiosity was encouraged, and progress was seen as a duty. As centuries passed and challenges grew, the spirit of innovation ensured that India was never limited to its past glory, but always reaching for new horizons. Even under colonial rule, when resources were stripped and opportunities denied, the hunger for knowledge never faded. Instead, it became a weapon of resilience, empowering minds to dream of freedom and a future built on self-reliance. In the modern era, knowledge and innovation became the engines driving India's transformation. From building its own satellites to creating world-class medical research, from becoming the IT hub of the world to making advancements in renewable energy, India proved that ideas could turn limitations into opportunities. The space program is a shining example of this journey, where, with limited budgets but limitless imagination, scientists placed India among the leading nations of the world. Innovation was never only about technology. It was about finding solutions that worked for the people, creating affordable medicines that saved millions of lives globally, developing digital systems that connected the most remote villages to the heartbeat of modern progress. This power of knowledge and innovation gave India a voice that could not be ignored because it was no longer a follower of ideas, but a creator of them. Every great invention, every bold initiative, every breakthrough India has achieved carries the same message: knowledge is freedom, and innovation is the key to shaping the future. A nation that invests in the mind can never be enslaved, and a nation that encourages creativity can never remain behind. India's rise is not just about what it has built physically, but about what it has nurtured mentally. The minds of dreamers and visionaries who believe that nothing is impossible when guided by wisdom and imagination. It is this spirit that has transformed India from a land once seen as struggling into a nation admired for its brilliance, adaptability, and potential to redefine the future of the world. Unity and diversity is one of the most powerful strengths that has defined India and shaped its rise as a global force. In a land where over 1 billion people live together, speaking thousands of languages, following different religions, and practicing countless traditions, the very idea of harmony might seem impossible to the outside world. Yet India has turned this diversity into a source of strength, proving that true unity does not mean sameness, but rather the ability to celebrate differences while standing together as one. From the northern peaks of the Himalayas to the southern shores of Kanyakumari, from the deserts of Rajasthan to the forests of the northeast, every region has its own culture, festivals, and heritage. But when the nation is called upon, all of these voices rise together in one anthem, one identity, one spirit. This unity has been tested time and again by challenges both internal and external. But each trial has only reinforced the understanding that diversity is not a weakness, but a foundation for resilience. It is this very spirit of unity that carried India through its struggle for independence, where people of different faiths, languages, and regions came together with one dream of freedom. It is the same spirit that has allowed India to embrace democracy, the largest in the world, where every citizen's voice matters regardless of background. Unity in diversity has given India a cultural richness unmatched by any other nation, creating an environment where ideas flourish, creativity thrives, and coexistence becomes a way of life. Festivals of one community are celebrated by another, food and art from one region are enjoyed across the country, and the stories of one tradition inspire the imagination of all. This exchange of culture and respect has built an unbreakable bond that unites millions of hearts. On the global stage, this diversity has become India's unique strength, the ability to accommodate differences, to blend tradition with modernity, to stand united despite contradictions. It has given India a voice that resonates with inclusivity and tolerance. While many nations struggle with division, India has shown that harmony can exist in the midst of differences if the foundation is respect and shared identity. The world sees in India a model of coexistence where diversity does not divide but enriches, where unity is not enforced but chosen. This is why, in moments of crisis, whether natural disasters or external threats, the people of India rise above their differences and stand together as one force. Unity in diversity is not just a phrase but a living reality in India. It has allowed the nation to survive centuries of change, invasions, and challenges without losing its identity. It is what allows India today to stand as a powerful voice in the world, proving that the greatest strength of a nation is not in its sameness, but in its ability to remain one despite differences. Resilience and sacrifice form the backbone of India's extraordinary journey toward power and recognition on the global stage. For centuries, the land has faced adversities that could have broken nations beyond repair, yet each challenge became an opportunity to rise stronger. From foreign invasions to colonial exploitation, from poverty to natural calamities, India has endured tests that seemed insurmountable. What carried it through these storms was resilience, the unyielding spirit of its people who refused to surrender to despair. This resilience was not born overnight. It was forged in centuries of struggle, nurtured through the hardships of everyday life, and strengthened by a collective determination to survive and thrive. Every setback was met with courage, every loss transformed into a lesson, and every one became a reminder of the strength to endure. Sacrifice, on the other hand, gave meaning to this resilience. Generations of Indians gave up their comforts, their security, and even their lives for the dream of a better tomorrow. Freedom fighters walked into prisons with unshaken resolve. Leaders stood against empires armed only with conviction. Soldiers laid down their lives to protect the motherland. All of them wove sacrifice into the fabric of the nation. Their choices were not made for personal gain, but for the vision of an independent, strong, and self-reliant India. Even beyond wars and independence struggles, ordinary people sacrificed in silence. Farmers who worked tirelessly under the sun, parents who gave up their dreams to educate their children, workers who built cities brick by brick without recognition. Each act of sacrifice, whether grand or unseen, created the foundation for India's progress. Together, resilience and sacrifice became inseparable forces that defined India's character. When the country was partitioned, tearing apart communities and displacing millions, it was resilience that allowed people to rebuild their lives from the ashes. When poverty threatened the future of generations, it was sacrifice that kept hope alive through education, hard work, and perseverance. When challenges of modernization and globalization seemed overwhelming, it was resilience that helped India adapt while preserving identity. And when defending sovereignty became the call of duty, sacrifice ensured freedom was never compromised. This spirit has continued into the modern era, where resilience fuels India's ability to overcome global challenges, and sacrifice ensures progress is not limited to a few but reaches the many. Scientists worked with minimal resources to launch rockets into space, proving determination mattered more than budgets. Doctors and health workers sacrificed their safety during crisis to protect millions. Soldiers stood at the harshest borders with resilience that made the impossible possible. Each generation inherited these values and carried them forward, proving that true power is not about wealth or weaponry alone, but about the strength to endure and the willingness to give. Resilience gives India its unbreakable spirit, and sacrifice gives it a soul the world cannot ignore. Youth power is the driving force that has propelled India onto the path of progress and global recognition, becoming one of the most important pillars of its strength. With one of the largest youth populations in the world, India holds within it an energy that is unmatched, a spirit that is unshackable, and a vision that refuses to be limited. The power of youth lies not just in numbers, but in their dreams, creativity, and determination to shape a future far greater than the past. They are the bridge between tradition and modernity, carrying forward the wisdom of generations while fearlessly embracing innovation and change. Every great transformation in India has been sparked by young minds willing to take risks, challenge the ordinary, and imagine the extraordinary. From the freedom struggle to the modern age, youth have always stood at the forefront of change. It was the young who filled the streets demanding independence, willing to sacrifice their lives for the nation's freedom. Today, that same spirit burns in classrooms, laboratories, startups, and fields where young men and women are creating solutions that impact not only India, but the entire world. The youth have become pioneers of technology, building India's presence in the digital revolution and making it a hub for information technology, startups, and innovation. They are dreamers who see space not as the distant sky, but as the next frontier, innovators who transform scarcity into opportunity, and leaders who believe in global cooperation rather than isolation. What makes India's youth power extraordinary is their resilience against adversity. Many come from humble beginnings, yet their determination allows them to rise beyond circumstances. They prove that success is not reserved for the privileged, but earned by those who dare to fight for it. This spirit of perseverance creates stories of inspiration that motivate millions. Stories of students who become scientists, of young entrepreneurs who build global companies, of athletes who bring pride to the nation, and of social reformers who dedicate their lives to building a just society in every corner of the nation. The energy of youth can be felt shaping the destiny of the land. Youth power is also about vision, the belief that the future is not something to wait for, but something to create. India's young generation carries within it bold dreams of a powerful nation that leads not by force, but by example. They are not satisfied with mediocrity. They demand progress, equality, and opportunity. Their questions challenge outdated systems, their ideas break traditional barriers, and their courage inspires change. In their hands lies the potential to transform India from a developing nation into a true global leader. The power of India's youth is not only in their strength, but in their imagination, not only in their voices, but in their actions, and not only in their dreams, but in their will to make those dreams real. This is the unstoppable force that defines the future of India. Destiny and vision have always been intertwined in the story of India's rise, shaping not only its path, but also its purpose in the world. Destiny is not merely a matter of chance. It is the unfolding of a nation's deeper calling, the invisible thread that guides its people through struggles, triumphs, and transformations. Vision, on the other hand, is the clarity to see what lies beyond the present moment, the courage to imagine a future that does not yet exist, and the determination to shape it with action. Together, destiny and vision have become the compass of India's journey, pointing toward a role far greater than survival or success, a role of leadership, inspiration, and balance in a world often consumed by conflict and division. India's destiny has long been written in the resilience of its people, in the depth of its culture, and in the wisdom of its traditions. Despite centuries of foreign rule, exploitation, and division, the nation endured not because it was spared from trials, but because its destiny was to rise from them. The independence movement was not simply a struggle for freedom, but the awakening of a vision that India was meant for something larger, a stage where it would one day stand as a voice for peace, justice, and progress. Destiny placed obstacles, but vision transformed those obstacles into stepping stones, leading the nation closer to its true place in history. Vision has been the light that allowed India to dream beyond limitations. It was vision that led to building institutions of learning to educate generations. Vision inspired scientists to reach the stars with limited resources. Vision empowered leaders to believe democracy could thrive in a nation of vast diversity. Vision turned villages into digital hubs, merged ancient traditions with modern innovation, and made the world see India not as a follower, but as a leader. Vision did not ignore reality, but it refused to be imprisoned by it. Through this courage, India shaped a path uniquely its own. Destiny and vision together carry a powerful message. Greatness is not a matter of privilege, but a purpose. India's destiny was never to dominate, but to guide, never to impose, but to inspire. Its vision stretches beyond economic growth and military power to something deeper, the creation of a society where progress and compassion walk together, where strength is measured not only by might, but also by wisdom, and where leadership means lifting others rather than standing alone. This is why the world today looks to India as more than just a nation. It looks to India as a symbol of hope, of balance, and of a future where humanity can rise above its divisions. Destiny chose India for this role, and vision continues to lead it toward fulfilling that calling with courage, determination, and purpose.